post to MPLP for them to look at so they can reference it later. If you'd like a copy of it, we're also happy to email it as well. But just some basic information about what the first day is going to look like. We are asking that students bring back all textbooks to school as well as their whiteboard. They are not going to be carrying them back and forth. Their poor little backs would break. They're going to live at school from now on. They have copies of their textbooks digitally at home for use for homework and such, for studying, etc. But the majority of our work with the textbooks will be done at school. So the 5th grade team decided to keep them at school. So just the first day they need to bring them. They can put them in their backpacks. They could put them in a separate Trader Joe's bag. However, they need to, whatever they need to do to get them to school, they will stay at school after that first day. So they just need to find a way to get them there. Students will also be getting some supplies. We have purchased them. The school has bought binders for all students. Inside the binders, they have 2 new notebooks as well as an attached pencil pouch with supplies. They will also be able to put their agendas in there, into their binders as well. I don't know if they're in there quite yet, but they will be. The reason we chose to use binders is so that materials can stay together. We realize that it is a challenge to bring your materials back and forth to school and home. So we wanted to make it as simple as possible by creating it in a contained unit that does not get separated. So those notebooks will live inside the binder. This pencil pouch is connected to the binder, has 3 holes in it. So that way their pencils, their crayons, everything just stays in the binder, and the binder is the thing that goes back and forth to school. They will be expected to bring their Chromebooks daily. So it is required that students do need to have a device that can travel back and forth. If your student does not have a device that's able to travel, you need to reach out to your teacher so we can arrange for them to have a Chromebook as soon as possible. If you could send the message after this meeting, that would be fantastic. So that way we can make sure that it's ready for Monday. It is required that students charge their Chromebooks at home. If for some reason a Chromebook doesn't get charged or is forgotten, we do have some extras at school. So we do have a backup plan in place. We know that there are days when it will be forgotten. There are days when it will die in the middle of class, and we have a plan to work all of that out. But we do ask that you keep it at home at night, plug it in, and then that way it can come to school ready to go. So in the words of Dora the Explorer, we've got our backpack. I see some little ones out there. You know what I'm talking about. We've got our binders that will come in their backpacks. We have their Chromebooks that will travel in their backpacks. They have 2 workbooks, not textbooks, but they're those soft cover, they rip out the pages workbooks. We've got our My Math workbook. We've got our Your Turn workbook. We are asking the students to bring a water bottle to school. The drinking fountains are closed because, due to COVID safety measures, but there is sinks in our classrooms and they can be used to fill up water bottles. So we do ask that students bring a water bottle to campus with them, as well as an extra mask in their backpack. Students will have to wear masks on their faces as soon as they enter the campus, but having an extra one in your backpack is always a great idea. You never know. It's handy to have an extra. We will also have extras at school if they're needed. We found a Chromebook sleeve online for about $8. You can find them for like roughly $7 to upwards of $10. This is not a requirement. It's just a recommendation. It can be helpful to keep your Chromebook protected when it's being shoved in a backpack and thrown around inside of your backpack. So it can be helpful to have a Chromebook sleeve that you can use to make sure it just stays safe. And we included that in the handout or the PDF that we sent home earlier this week in the supply list. So if you're able, that would be great. If not, no worries. Hand sanitizer. We love hand sanitizer. We are going to be using hand sanitizer several times a day. The 5th grade team got together and we had a thought that all of your sweet little children are probably going to Bath and Body Works to find all of the fruited and vanilla and coconut and all of the scents that could possibly be imagined in Bath and Body Works and the grocery store and wherever you buy your hand sanitizer. We are not looking for our classrooms to smell like a Bath and Body Works. And so we do request that if you're sending hand sanitizer with your students, that it be unscented. That's just for the good of the communal group. We've got students who are sensitive to smells. I'm sensitive to smells. We don't really want all of the odd mixture smells. So if you are sending hand sanitizer, we do ask that it's non-scented. This is entirely optional. We have plenty of hand sanitizer at school. So if you do not want to send or you are planning on sending, Don't worry, it's totally fine. We have plenty at school. Masks are a must, as we all know. I loved this image that I found. Masks must be worn over mouth and nose at all times. That's for the safety of everyone who's in the classroom. And like I said before, students should bring a second backup mask in their backpack, just in case. Here is our daily schedule. Students in 5th grade will be dropped off in the Valet Line by the CDC, the 3rd through 5th grade Valet Line. The gate will open at 8:20, which is 10 minutes before school starts. As soon as students enter the gate, they'll be able to go directly to their classroom and our doors will be open. That way we don't have students standing around, hanging around. We do ask that you don't arrive too early because students will have nowhere to go yet. So try and get there as close to 8:20 as you can, but we do have that 10-minute kind of grace period. And the school day does begin at 8:30. So make sure that you arrive before then. At 11 o'clock is when the school day will end. You'll pick up your student in the 3rd through 5th grade Valet Line right where you dropped them off at the end of the day. And then from 12:30 to 3 o'clock, our morning cohort will be working on their asynchronous work at home, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But just some notes to enter and exit through the 4th through 5th grade Valet Line. If you have multiple students, you can drop all students off at the youngest student's Valet Line.
Ms. Rennick, I hate to go back to that slide.
Mhm.
Parents, this is where I'm really going to ask for your help here. Please don't be early and please don't be late. If you arrive early, you're going to back up the line, another group arriving, and if you're late, look, students. So we really give you that 10-minute window, and we ask that you work with that window. If you do get in line early, I ask you to keep going around or park until it's your turn. So just keep track of time. Please don't arrive before 8:20 and do your best to not be late. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Bettis.
Can I also add something too,
Oh.
Ms. Rennick? I just
Yeah.
want to add about the drop-off procedure. Make sure to have that symptoms checker done prior to coming to school. It did go home again today in our newsletter. That just helps speed up the process. And then at the gate, we'll also have somebody checking temperatures at the gate. So please make sure to have a green check mark on your phone at the gate. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Oh, hello, Pajama Wednesday. So your students are coming back to campus, but they get to go back into their pajamas on Wednesday mornings. All students are going to be Zooming from home on Wednesdays. Every student will Zoom from 8:30 to 9:30. From 8 to 8:30, we'll be in our own individual classrooms. And then from 9 to 9:30, we'll attend the 5th grade forum, which is all the 5th grade community coming together for 30 minutes to hear from speakers, do activities, and build that 5th grade community. After, from 9:30 to 3 o'clock, students will be working on asynchronous work. This is a great day to work on any missing ST Math minutes, AR reading minutes, any other missing assignments. Daily screening, just like Ms. Masterson was talking about. Each day you'll be filling out a form online to make sure your student's able to come to school. Someone at the Valet Line will need to see your green check mark before you're allowed on campus. The student is allowed on campus. You're allowed to go through the Valet Line. Make sure you have it ready for drop off. Keeps everyone healthy and safe. If you just have it up on a cell phone, that way, as you drive through, somebody can check your name off the list and you're good to go. Breakfast. So as of right now, we are not having snacks on campus. We're working on a plan to make it available, but at this time, as we're getting our routines and procedures down, we are asking for snacks to stay at home, which means students should most definitely be eating breakfast at home before they come to school. They are here for 2.5 hours with us, which is, if they've eaten a nice substantial breakfast in the morning, should be enough to tide them over until they get home for lunch. So yes, please bring water, but please leave your snacks at home and make sure your children eat breakfast before they come. Asynchronous afternoons. These are the special Zooms for 5th grade, and they are also available on the to-do list for students to see as well. We have our live PE Zoom on Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. with Ms. Shackstad. Ms. Downer and my class have our music Zoom Thursday at 2:15 for your students. And Ms. McKenna's class, you guys are doing your music Zoom Friday at 12:15 for your guys' students. Our afternoon expectations, students are expected to complete asynchronous work in the afternoon, kind of like they've been doing. So I'll tell your students that in Just because we're coming back to campus does not mean that they are done with PLP and the assignments that are uploaded and posted. They will continue that asynchronous work just like they have been doing. The in-school portion replaces our Zoom minutes, and the asynchronous work will stay at roughly the same amount of schoolwork that we have been doing in the past. Students can use the to-do list that's emailed weekly in order to keep track of all work. It's also posted in PLP for them to Zoom. All work will continue to be submitted on PLP and checked Thursday evenings, Friday mornings, so you can get that weekly reminder of where your student's at. Students will also continue with 20 minutes of ST math as well as their 20 minutes of AR reading every day in order to stay on track. Donations. So the school will be sanitizing our classrooms daily as well as providing sanitizing wipes, but we can always use more. If you have extra cleaning wipes at home that you'd be willing to donate, please send them to school with your child. It just makes it helpful for us in order to clean all of the surfaces and desks and everything in the classroom. If you have some extras at home, feel free to send them in with your kids. Most of all, we can't wait to see all of you, your faces in the Valet Line and your students on Monday. So we're super excited, and I'm going to pass it off to Ms. Downer to talk to you a little bit more about the asynchronous work.
Before we switch over, I just wanted to share that even though we don't allow snacks on campus, every student gets a grab-and-go lunch on their way out. So all your students will get a lunch on the way out. Okay. No need to report it. Just you get a lunch on your way out, and you can eat what you from it at home. Thanks.
We love free lunch.
This should be a review. Hopefully it's a review. Hopefully with the slides that I'm going to go through are familiar to you. In PLP, the students all have these different topic tiles, the subject tiles, language, arts, history, math, science, PE, music, and Zoom with their teacher. So it's within these tiles in the bottom right-hand corner that you'll be able to see their current grade, as well as be able to check what work they need to be working on that particular day. When you open those particular tiles, there are going to be folders that are generally dated, or they've got some sort of marking around them that lets you know that this is the most recent, probably more at the bottom or at the top, depending upon how the teacher orders things. But in those folders, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I always say to my students, sorry, parents, are the assignments that we have for them. And when the children have looked at those particular assignments and completed, so for example, if they've looked at the notes, those are usually represented by a blank piece of paper. If they've opened them up and they've previewed them and they've looked at those notes, you'll have a green check. The paper that has lines on it is an assignment that has work that needs to be submitted. And you want to have a green check on those as well. That shows that the work has been done and it has been submitted and you're ready to move on to whatever other homework they've got. So we are also taking tests. We have one tomorrow in our Macmillan-McGraw-Hill education file, which is our reading textbook. It is within Clever that you would click on that red square to be able to see your child's scores in the vocabulary test that they have to take, which encompasses 8 vocabulary words for the week, and then 5 questions about the main story that we covered that week, as well as a skills test, which, as a reminder, is a cold read. It is a story we have not read together. It's got some vocabulary in there and sometimes some really challenging questions. It's got multiple choice, sometimes some matching, sometimes some reorganization questions, and it will always have some sort of prompt that we have guided the students as to what kinds of sentences we want and for them to be able to get a score of 4 points on that prompt. So once those scores have been graded, you can go into the McGraw-Hill Square and you can see their current, the latest score that they got for both of those tests. That would be the place to go, is in Clever. There is also the weekly to-do list, and when we send out emails Monday mornings, there's always a click here to see the to-do list for the week. Please note that this is an active document, and as things can sometimes change during the week, we do adapt and add things into the list, but we are really clear to make sure that the kids understand that there's new additional pieces. It doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while, we just have to make an adjustment. This to-do list can be found in the parent folder and in the school's PLP in the Zoom tile. And it is updated regularly as we are moving through. So if you print it out on Monday, you might have to double check on Tuesday, Wednesday to see if there's any additional pieces of information that are on there. So we are in mile 17 of the marathon. Summer is around the corner. We highly encourage all of you to look at school's PLP together with your child, see the work, see what's not been completed, see what has been completed. Middle school is, 15 weeks and summer away, but we want them to be really sure that they've got some good study habits. That's one of the main focuses of 5th grade, is making sure that these students are students that become more independent. They've got some good study habits, some good working habits in place. It's been a little challenging because they've been at home this whole time. So your students are going to get the crash course in 15 weeks about how to really become much more independent and be responsible for taking care of their stuff and making sure everything gets to school that needs to get to school. So speaking of 5th graders, it's important to us that 5th graders feel celebrated for their time in middle school. Teachers and administrators are already in conversations about how to make this time special. We're going to be reaching out after spring break to know how we will be moving forward. We are hoping to have time with the middle school counselors and all of your students, as well as the middle school principal and all of your students, so that they see some faces and they get to understand what middle school will be like. Wherever your child goes, most middle schools follow the same type of scheduling pattern. So all of the information will pertain to any middle school. Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Downer, Ms. Rennick. Excellent presentation. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. I'm going to just go through some questions that came in while we were talking. In regards to Chromebooks, will they be taken and brought back daily? So yes, there's two options. If you have a school Chromebook, we're asking that gets brought back and forth daily. If your student's been Zooming off of a personal computer or an iPad, they can bring that. However, we will be having you fill out a quick little waiver stating that you're okay with their personal device coming back and forth. If that's not something that you're comfortable with, we totally understand. We know that your students are 10 and 11 years old. So we would ask that you would email your classroom teacher just so that we can make sure we get you on a list to get a school Chromebook that can go back and forth. In regards to if you have another student who's being dropped off, students can be dropped off at their youngest sibling's site. So if you have a 2nd grader and you're being dropped off on the other side, feel free to drop off both students there, and then your 5th grader will walk to their classroom. Is that correct, Mr. Fredes? I saw you unmuted yourself. Just wanted to be sure. Yes, we are still talking about our promotion. Last year, we had an incredible promotion live stream. It was very well done. We are in talks. There will be a promotion of some sort. It's all going to depend on what county guidelines are looking like, because we want to honor our community, make sure everyone's safe and healthy. And so the live stream is still an option. And if things are looking incredible around that time, there could potentially be an outdoor option, but as of right now, we are leaning towards the live stream. And then in regards to IEPs, I am going to ask that you would email your classroom teacher about your specific needs for your IEPs. Unless Ms. Masterson, you can speak more to that. If they're in school, will that be serviced in school or over Zoom?
It really depends on the student. So again, reach out to your teacher as well as your IEP case carrier, which would be Ms. Yamani.
Great. Are there any other questions that we can answer for you before we log off? We'll just wait, see if any come into the chat. Well, we just want to say thank you again so much for trusting us with your students. We are really excited to have them back, and we just know that this is a really great thing for our students. It's great for us to be in community with your students. They are such a special group of kids, and we've really enjoyed working with them so far, and we're really looking forward to working with them in person. So we are going to let you go. If you do have any further questions, we have just about 2 more minutes. Any type of mask, just any mask that goes over the nose and the mouth is great. I personally like the reusable ones just because the cotton feels nicer on my face, but that is up to whatever your preference is. Yes, every student gets a lunch, which is so awesome. The school lunches are great. Pre-pandemic, I always hopped in line and got lunch with students. So can attest as an adult that the lunches are wonderful. So
can I add something to that, Ms. McKenna? So on Wednesdays, lunch will still be available at Dana. So even if you you don't have to qualify for free and reduced lunch. Everybody gets a lunch at Dana as well. And if you go on Fridays, they actually give lunch for the whole weekend. So they would give the 3 meals. So again, Wednesday, lunches are at Dana. And Fridays, you can, in addition to the school lunch that the student is receiving on campus, you can drive over to Dana and get lunches for the weekend.
Great.
Nope.
Yep. So free lunch, we love that. And yeah, that's wonderful. We have one more question, and Mr. Predis, perhaps you can support me in answering this one. If going out of town and then quarantine for the 10 days when we come back, is there the option to participate in distance learning? As of right now, that's on a case-by-case basis. So if that is the case, again, please reach out to your classroom teacher to set up what that would look like. Is that?
Yeah, that is correct. It'll be on a case-by-case basis. And remember, the quarantine is only if you leave the state at this point. But depending on when you travel, guidelines may change.
Yes. All right. Well, we do have to let in our distance learners. So thank you again so much for coming. And we will see you Monday morning. Bye, everyone.